This week in wrestling headlines, Team USA sets the official Olympics roster. Jaden Cox is still fighting after missing weight. And if you're looking for more wrestling headlines from the Olympic team trials, then let's stop stalling and start talking wrestling. What's going on, wrestling fans? Welcome to Wrestling Headlines here on the Fanco Wrestling YouTube channel. And wow, what a crazy weekend of headlines. What a crazy weekend of wrestling at the Olympic team trials. Just so much to talk about in this video, but if you were able to watch the tournament or the event this weekend, what did you think of it? And I say able to watch because the NBC and Peacock mess, I mean, it was just such a complete fiasco with how things were set up. And I actually had a whole video dedicated to that on the channel already. I'm not even going to get into that just because it was such a pain in the butt. I'm going to keep things positive today. And first, I'm going to keep it positive by talking about Team USA sets the official roster in men's freestyle, women's freestyle, and Greco-Roman. So in men's freestyle, the first guy to talk about here is 57 kilograms, Thomas Gilman and Vito Araujo. And from top to bottom, I mean, these finals, every single weight class just lived up to the hype. Just so many phenomenal matches that it was a fireworks finale with Thomas Gilman and Vito Araujo. And Gilman just absolutely just looked dominant and aggressive out there. From his first match to his last match, with getting a fall in the finals over Vito and just beating him pretty good in the second match too to get onto the Olympic team. He just looks great out there he still has that aggressive style, like I said, but there's something a little bit different about him now training with the Nittany Lion Wrestling Club that I've kind of seen. He seems a bit more poised, and he's definitely a more kind of calmed down than the Thomas Gilman that we knew and saw from college. But even afterwards, he was asked in an interview if he thought he came out of nowhere. Did you see that interview going around with Thomas Gilman? The interviewer said, "Do you think he came out of nowhere?" He was like, kind of like baffled by that. Like, that's not the question that you should be asking me. Are you serious? And he answered it with complete respect, but just craziness right there. But another crazy weight at 65 kilos with Jordan Oliver and Joey McKenna. Wow. You want to talk about two guys that pulled off some incredible upsets? They respectively beat Zane Rutherford and Yanni Diakomihalis, the top two seeds at the event. And I don't think anybody really thought that Yanni or Zane was going to lose until the finals, except these two guys. And guess what? They're the ones who proved it, and they're the ones who beat them. And they had a great match, a great final series. Now, Oliver was able to ultimately get the two victories over McKenna, but McKenna definitely put up a fight. This is a weight that still needs to qualify for the Olympics in Bulgaria on May 6th. And if he doesn't qualify the weight for the Olympics, then unfortunately we won't have his 65 kilos at the Olympics. But the way that Jordan Oliver has been wrestling, I truly believe that he's going to qualify this weight. I mean, he's just looking so darn good. And you want to talk about one of the best weights, one of the best matches, one of the best series at this event, Kyle Dake and Jordan Burroughs. Everybody was looking forward to this matchup. They were looking to Kyle Dake and Jordan Burroughs, and we got it. We got it in the finals, and it lived up to the excitement. Now, the first match wasn't actually that exciting. Kyle Dake did shut out Jordan Burroughs. I mean, I guess maybe that was the crazy part, is that Jordan Burroughs, I don't know the last time he's been shut out or hasn't scored a point, but came back firing in the second match. He seemed like a complete aggressor, but Kyle Dake's defense is just so good. He scored 2 points, but couldn't beat Dake with the takedown. He beat him 3-1 ultimately at the end of the day. And, man, congratulations to Kyle Dake, multiple-time world champion, and beating a multiple-time world champion and gold medalist in Jordan Burroughs to make the team is just so darn impressive. And you saw that show of respect after the match when Dake kind of just said thank you to him. And you saw how heartbroken Burroughs was out on the mat. And I don't think anybody was surprised to see that. But then they made him do an interview after. And just the amount of, humility and class that he showed in that. I mean, I wouldn't want to be doing an interview after I just lost this match to go to the Olympics. And he did it with just such class. Absolute athlete and completely respectful athlete in Jordan Burroughs. And at 86 and 97, with David Taylor and Kyle Snyder, each of these guys faced guys from their own alma mater. David Taylor wrestled Bo Nickel, and Kyle Snyder wrestled Colin Moore, respectively, from Penn State and Ohio State. And these two were probably the most dominant finals, with David Taylor beating Bo Nickel and Kyle Snyder beating Colin Moore. I don't think there was, I think that those two guys will be great in years to come, but right now, with Snyder and David Taylor, I mean, they are the top dogs at their weights, and I fully expect each of those guys to get a gold medal. I mean, I think Team USA is going to be just so good, so fire at this year's Olympics. So fire. Sorry for the voice crack. But another guy who, you want to talk about somebody who I think can win an Olympic gold medal? Gable Steveson. You see him hitting the backflip here after his match that he won, dominated over Nick Gwiazdowski. I mean, I did pick Gable to win over Gwiz, but I did not think he was going to win in that epic of a style. He beat him. He teched him in the first match, and in the second match, he beat him 10-4. I mean, this is a match where Gable had just won a few months earlier in December 4-1. And that's how much better he's got in that time. That is how much hype, how much momentum Gable is actually riding. And listen, I've spoke about Gable before. I said, he can be a little bit arrogant on and off the mat. And look, I get him now. I truly do. After his shows of respect at the NCAA tournament and at the Olympic team trials, and I was excited for him. I seriously was. And he was a respectable guy. And kind of what he said was, I'm an entertainer, but I'm going to go out and win some wrestling matches first. And that's exactly what he did. Then he lived off the hype. And, nothing but respect and for Gable Steveson as he made the team. And I think he's going to win that Olympic gold medal. And women's freestyle, a couple of exciting headlines from over the weekend. This looks like a dominant women's team again. I mean, one of the women who made this weight and one of the only woman in American history to ever win an Olympic gold medal was Helen Morales, who did end up making the finals and making the Team USA, and I'll get to her opponent in just a second, but some of the biggest storylines honestly came from the younger women, who high schoolers Kennedy Blades and Kylie Welker made the finals. Blades with a win over Molinari and Welker with a win over Victoria Francis. What a tournament for these two women. Now, ultimately, they did end up losing the finals. They weren't really a match for just the level of Tamira Mensah-Stock or Adeline Gray, 5-time world medalist. They weren't a match for them. And those two women, I can see them definitely going for the gold medal. But what an incredible weekend for those two. I mean, it just kind of cracks me up that now they just have to go back to high school this week. It's like, just wrestle to one of the top two women in the entire country. And just got to go back to my classes in high school. Just that always cracks me up. Also, Jenna Burkett, makes the finals after losing her mom just 1 week ago. I mean, that was just one of the heart-wrenching stories of the entire tournament. Lost her mom a week ago. Pinned silver medalist Ali Reagan on Friday night. Ended up making it to the finals against Morales. Morales won that first one, and then Burkett was able to win the second match, Fireback win the second one, and was ready to go into the third match. Unfortunately for her, Morales ended up pinning her. And look, she put up such a great performance, and to lose to the only woman to ever win an Olympic gold medal, I mean, there's a lot to be said there about this entire women's team, and I think they're going to put on a show at the Olympics. And you know who else I hope can put on a show is the Greco-Roman team. These are your 6 Olympic qualifiers for the Greco-Roman team. Lots of retirements in the finals. I think that was kind of for me, that was the biggest story out of Greco-Roman. You saw some great performances by Adam Kuhn, D'Angelo Hancock, and Stefanowicz. But the thing was with the retirements, Ellis Coleman left his shoes on the mat after his loss to Alejandro Sancho. Joe Rao retired after his loss to Stefanowicz. And even, I'll talk about Molinaro in a little bit. Not Greco-Roman, but another retirement there is leaving your shoes in the middle of the mat. If you didn't know that, that's kind of just your show as, I'm done wrestling, that's it for me. And I hope the Greco-Roman team can get it done, because the last top 3 finish for the Greco-Roman team was in 2008 by Adam Wheeler when he had a bronze medal at the Olympic Games, and I believe those were in Beijing. And I hope that the Greco-Roman team can get something done with a lot of these first-timers on the team this year. Now, you want to talk about probably the craziest story of the entire weekend, and it's the story that got everything started. J'den Cox missed weight. He missed weight. And nobody could believe it. I couldn't believe it. Could you believe it? I mean, nobody could believe that this happened. And we started learning the story as it started developing on Friday. We started actually learning the details and what happened because Cox had a bye to the semis. He basically needed 2 matches and then to make the finals against Kyle Snyder. And that was one of the second most anticipated matches of the weekend. It was Kyle Dake and Jordan Burroughs, and then it was Jaden Cox and Kyle Snyder. Well, Cox didn't even get to wrestle a match. So what exactly happened? Did he actually miss weight? What happened here? So originally we thought that Cox just did not make weight, like he was overweight. And that's true to some extent. But his Coach Kevin Jackson, told him the wrong time for the weigh-in, the time that he thought it was. He had expressed this in an interview during the finals. You may have seen it. So what happened is Cox arrived to the arena. It was actually in time for weigh-ins, and he checked his weight right around the time when weigh-ins were ending. He saw that he was a little bit over, so ended up getting a workout in. Lost the last little bit of weight that he needed to. Jumped on the scale afterwards. It was 15 minutes past when weigh-ins had closed, and he had made weight at that point. But unfortunately, the time had expired. So the Team USA committee voted, and they voted to not allow Cox to wrestle because he was overweight. So there are a couple things to note here. One, because I saw some people saying it's irresponsible of Cox to be overweight in the first place. No, that's actually how a lot of senior level athletes do things. They go by a time schedule. They want to get that workout in, get around. You don't want to be 2 pounds underweight or whatever, a couple kilos underweight. That's not how you want to operate. That's not how these senior guys operate. Depending on the guy, but he wants to get that workout in, and we know how easily Jaden Cox can just sweat that off. But so that's not the issue there. And the issue is with Kevin Jackson telling him the wrong time, because then some people were like, well, Cox should have just known. He should have just known the time. And okay, I get it, but he has other focuses. It's his coach's decision, his coach's job to get Cox where he needs to be in time. So Cox can focus on his mindset, his training, everything there. The interesting thing, though, is kind of what Cox said and what Kevin Jackson said is that he had kind of been told as a USA Wrestling employee that these were the weigh-in times. And so they are still planning to fight and appeal the process. How is that going to turn out? I have no idea. I mean, let's be honest. Like, this bracket was redrawn because Cox didn't make weight. What would have to happen? Would they have to re-wrestle the entire bracket? I find that, like, he's not just going to get a bye to the finals against Kyle Snyder. It's not how that would work. And Kyle Snyder got the spot fair and square. I feel so bad that this happened to Cox, and I wish we could have seen Cox and Snyder wrestle, but we'll see what happens with this appeal. Another major surprises from the weekend. At 57 kilos, NATO made the senior team after defeating Joey Colon and Zane Richards. Top 3 made the senior team. And a big other thing at 57 kilos is Dayton Fix lost. So he lost in the semis to Vito Ruja, then ended up losing to Zane Richards in the consies. And that is something that can definitely happen. I mean, you lose in the consies, or you lose in the championships, it's like, well, what's even the point at this point? But one guy who fought back hard was Nick Lee. Wow. Did you look at the consolation brackets? If you did, you saw that Nick Lee is an absolute beast. Not only once he lost to Jordan Oliver, who is your Team USA member at 65 kilograms, he stormed back, beat Nashon Garrett, beat Zane Rutherford, and then for third and fourth, beat Yanni Diakomahalis. What? And he didn't just beat them by a point or two. I mean, he beat them good. I didn't expect that. I did not expect that to happen. I mean, this may have been one of the best performances of the entire weekend was by Nick Lee in the consolation brackets. The other thing that happened at 65 kilos was Frank Molinaro, who retired after losing to Yanni Diakomahalis after getting tacked by Yanni D. I mean, won his first match over Evan Henderson, which was, great to at least he got that. But after his loss to Diakomahalis, he left his shoes in the middle of the mat. And look, Molinaro is now an assistant at Arizona State. He has other career goals, other life goals, I'm sure. And I fully expect him to do well in those. As an Olympic team member in the past, as an Olympian in the past, Molinaro has had a great career. He kind of said this as well. Other guys making the team, Jason Nolf at 74 kilos. I mean, I guess one of the crazy stories was whenever he got teched by Cal Dake in like 30 seconds. That was nuts. Did not see that coming. But Jason Nolf battled back. Zahid Valencia at 86 kilos ended up making the team, placed third. And to me, that was the best match of the entire weekend, was Zahid and Bo Nickel. The best match out of any match, finals, the semifinals between Zahid and Bo was the best match of the tournament. Kyvan Gadsden at 97 kilos. And Mason Paris. Mason Paris looked darn good at 125 kilos. And I love Team USA. I mean, Team USA is just stacked. It is stacked. And now we have our official roster in men's freestyle, women's freestyle, and Greco-Roman. And so you're going to make sure you are subscribed to this channel so you stay up to date on the latest happening with the Olympics over the summer. And let me know your thoughts down in the comments below about what your favorite match was from this weekend.